additional minutes to the 15-minute period since we're starting late.
Let's do it after.
Okay. That's right, because it was only scheduled to go to 7:30 anyway. So it's open for citizen comments on the appropriation ordinance and levy during this time. Does anyone have any comments on the appropriation ordinance and levy? Okay, so we do have to sit until 7:30 and.
You can do citizen comments in general, instead of just on the appropriation, we'll do that now. But we really can't start the meeting until 7:30.
Okay, we were going to have to adjourn the public hearing and then call the meeting to order and then go into regular citizen comments. Do you know if there's any formality that has to be followed
I
there?
think we could just go right now to general citizen comments, and then at 7:30, we would adjourn and go right to the meeting. And there should probably wouldn't be any citizen comments left.
Okay,
Do we have to wait for Julie to be here?
Julia's not coming tonight. No, she had a family, something come up. So we're recording. We're all recording. So we're going to transcribe it tomorrow. But that is a good note. Just make sure you speak up so that Jessica can hear all of your beautiful voices.
Oh, on the page, yes.
Jessica's going to transcribe the minutes from the recording tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. So she'll have this as a reference and she'll have our live stream. But just please speak up so that we hear you all loud and clearly.
Madam President, could I just recommend that if we do citizen comments prior to 7:30, can we just give an opportunity to anybody else who comes at 7:30 to make citizen
to
comments?
speak on the appropriation?
No,
Or
to make general, I thought one of the ideas was we have citizen comments starting immediately.
Yes, I think that's fine. If citizen comment that we're going into right now needs to go past 7:30, is that what you're asking? I'm fine with that.
So I'm just saying, if somebody comes at 7:30 expecting to make a citizen comment, I think we should accommodate.
Yeah, we actually, in our ordinance, correct me if I'm wrong, we actually allowed for a total of 30 minutes, at the same time as limiting each comment to 3 minutes. So I don't see any reason that we can't, extend that as needed. So it sounds like we're opening up citizen comment to any citizen comments at this point. Would anyone like to speak?
For the appropriations meeting or for general?
This is actually, we're just opening it up to citizen comments of any kind right now.
I will in a little while and say, well, that was pretty prepared at 7:30.
Okay. She said she will speak, but she's not ready right now. To speak? That's a good question. I guess I can. Do you want to? I have a stopwatch. I can do it like this, and then it'll go off.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to look at it, you know what I mean?
Good.
If you've just arrived, we're in a citizen comment portion right now, so just let us know if you'd like to speak on the ordinance or on any other subject. What's that?
It's, we've got two, and 82888 is right above, it's in my office. I know, it's strange. If you want that, all of those are already out. They would be secondary, yeah, people need seats.
Yeah. Citizen comment is happening now. Yes, nobody has told us that they want to speak yet.
Okay.
Would you like to?
Well, I may not be able to stay the whole night, so I'd like to when you think it's the right time.
Okay, I'll make an announcement in a second. I shut it. Yep.
Martha, will you remind everybody to sign in?
Yeah. When do you want to do like an equity committee update?
I'll do it in my report.
In your report, okay.
And I'm just gonna say the same thing that I said to you.
Yeah. Yeah, do you want to come sit next to me so that you're like,
I am organized.
you're fine? Okay.
Mess with the organization.
I am organized.
Got it. My car is my same
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Everything is like, I know where it is. I'm ready. I'm ready to be 3 different people today.
Okay, if I could have everyone's attention, please. There were a lot of people coming in, and now that you've all sat down, I just want to make sure everybody heard me that we are open to citizen comment as of right now. If anyone would like to speak on the ordinance, the appropriation ordinance or levy, or on any subject at all, you can do so now.
Yes, real quick, if possible, because I see that Ridgeville out here representing Ridgeville. I see that we are literally pretty much at the end of the meeting, and we have most of the people here are here in support of that comment. If it's possible, we can move that up in the meeting order, because right now we're literally at the end.
Is there, what's the method to the addition of things to the?
Well, it was Matt's agenda item, so I put it on there as Matt's agenda item. So I think it's just up to you, to the commissioners, if you want to.
As in new business, that's where it would always appear, like if a commissioner adds something
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
agenda?
yeah.
Okay.
For the record, for my experience the last 7 years as a commissioner here, we've always advocated to the community that people show up, we try to let them go first so that accommodates their schedules. So I'm open to that idea.
Can I speak to that as well? The reason it is last, I'm pretty sure, is that Natalie puts them on as people ask. you and me were talking back and forth, and then that's the reason why it is last is part of.
Trust me, this isn't a complaint.
Sure,
It's
sure.
a request.
So-
Because people are, most of the people here are here for that. So
Yeah, so I'm explaining that, and then I think under Robert's rules, what you do is suspend the rules and ask to advance an agenda item.
Okay.
But you shouldn't advance it ahead of the appropriation.
Okay,
That should be your precedent.
right.
Is Mike Simmons here?
He's not. He's not able to attend, so
Just replace that.
that's a good suggestion. I mean, that's probably where it would have gone anyway. I recall that we, extended the same sort of go early courtesy to both the YWCA and to Dr. Logan, so I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go ahead with that request. So then help me out here, I'm suspending Robert's rules in order to advance an item?
Make a motion to suspend the rules to advance an agenda item.
Do we need to make that motion once we've actually called the meeting to order, which we have not done?
Probably.
Okay, so we'll go ahead with it, but we're not making it official just yet. We're still in citizen comment.
I can note that it is 7:30.
So the monthly meeting should be called.
So we can-
It's adjourn the public hearing and go into
Monthly meeting.
Right, so we're going to adjourn now the portion that's the public hearing on the appropriation ordinance and levy.
the meeting. Motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order at
Well, that.
7:30 I have as well. So at this point, it will be open as it was supposed to be at 7:30 for citizen comment on any subject. Who would like to go? Beth?
Hi, my name is Beth Stair. I'm at 1502 Main Street in the Ridgefield District. And a mother of two, kids go to Washington Elementary. So I've been coming to the meetings probably since April. And I've had a lot of comments. And first off, I want to commend you. I can be sort of curmudgeon at times and feel that things aren't moving fast enough or feeling like you aren't listening. But since I've been coming, and I've suggested getting involved in the Illinois Association of Partners. I know a few other things about collecting demographics, about having a better eye on retraining of the counselor. And I've seen that since then, may not have been going as fast and all of that, but you've actually made some really important strides. Two of the commissioners went to the boot camp for the IAPT. I suggest really was encouraging you to do that, and I commend you on that. Also, you have now said that you're going to do a self-assessment with IEP. I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you very much. I'm also happy that you are working towards getting an equity committee together and start collecting more data. So I noticed, and I'm happy to see that there's some progress being made, and I look forward to seeing more. One thing that happened at the last meeting, I'm a little disappointed in, is the passing of the ordinance for public comment. I feel it's a little bit sloppy and imprecise, and that we really should get this right the first time, because I doubt this would really uphold the First Amendment challenge in court. And I would hate for you to incur, as a taxpayer, even more legal fees. Precisely, in section 2.6, says, when addressing the board, speakers shall confine their remarks to the matter at hand. I'm not sure what that means. Do they have to only speak about anything that's on the agenda? I don't know what a matter at hand is as a individual. If I want to come and speak, I'm not sure what topics then are allowed for me to say. So that's sort of vague in my mind. Avoid personal remarks. Well, this happened to be written the morning after I had some remarks, and they weren't really personal in nature. It was addressing the spending of taxpayer money on the car, like for the executive directors for non-part digital use and all of that. I would agree that ad hominem tax comments not allowed. We really need a respectful forum with good rules of conduct for both sides. Another thing is to avoid impugning of motives. Well, I'm not sure what this means. If I was to talk about disparate impact, which disparate impact is a long-standing protection, a legal protection, that allows people to challenge unjustified policies that might seem neutral on their face, but result in discriminatory outcomes. If I was to call certain things, we could call that systematic racism. It's that impugning of motives. It's not based on intent, it's based on impact. Would I be kicked out? Also, we're supposed to avoid contentious remarks.
Beth, I just want to let you know that's been 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Keep going.
Contentious means controversial. So am I going to get kicked out for bringing up anything controversial? And then finally, you're actually making it permissible for commissioners to actually have misconduct. It says any person except a member of the board who engages in disorderly conduct during a meeting may be ejected from the meeting upon motion passed by a majority of the board of commissioners. That makes no sense to me. I've actually witnessed misconduct by commissioners since I've been here in April. One point to me, and another one was a racist remark in defense of a racist remark made by somebody making public comment. I'm all for having rules of conduct and for speakers, but this really is not, I don't think it'll stand up in court in terms of the First Amendment challenge. And I hope that you never actually have to kick somebody out, especially for these vague terms here. I feel that this was your chance to get it right, and I wish you really would have done that first. Thank you.
Oh, before you go, I just want to remind everybody to please sign in at our book. And also when you stand up, if you can just make sure that you tell us who you are before you speak.
I did sign in. My name is Mike Solo, and I live at 2728 Bruce Evanston. I'll be brief because, and I really just want to thank you for considering the agenda item regarding Bridgeville United. I support that movement, that group. Wayne's been working very hard on that, and he has a lot of good points to present later. So I'm just speaking in support of it, and not being able to stay the whole night, so I want to make sure you knew that was my position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
Hello, I'm Tricia Conley. I live in the fourth ward. And to William's proposal on behalf of Bridgeville United, I would like to just really push this body to really consider who are the students, the children, the people that aren't included in this environment. And what is it that can be done differently to change that? And I think that is really the big premise of what's being asked here. And I know it's something that we're always looking at in the school system, is who's not here and what do we need to shift and change so that they're part of this. So I hope all of you take that very seriously. Thank you.
Sorry, just taking some notes. Would anyone like to go next? All right, some sort of a last call is happening now for any citizen comments. All righty. So on our agenda, we were going to hear from Mike Simmons from Blue Sky Strategies with a presentation on the equity work that they do. He wasn't able to attend the meeting. So it sounds like I'm going to be making a motion to suspend Robert's rules to move up an agenda item. Is that correct?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And the agenda item that we're moving up, of course, is Matt Mitchell's E on our agenda, introduction of Ridgeville United Group and sharing public support for Ridgeville Park District equity efforts. So I'll turn it over to you, Matt.
Thank you. I was contacted by members of Ridgeville United and had some brief conversations with them. Part of that was how they were planning on being here tonight. Part of that conversation thought it was best if they were a part of the agenda and that Mr. Williamson would make a presentation on behalf of the group. So I hand the floor over to Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that. And I'm William Easton, 9th Ward resident. Just moved back to Evanston. I was born and raised here. Grew up on Sherman in the Ridgeville Park District. And literally been coming here since, trying to come here since I was a child. To be honest, I second what Beth was saying. I commend Natalie, your Facebook presence has the right touch of reaching out, and I'm a researcher, and I went back and I saw posts previous to our discussion before the election and the ones after, and I've seen what you've done to be more engaging, not just throwing stuff out there, throwing down some red meat, but just being engaging with folks, and I really commend you on that, Martha. The dialogue, I know we haven't discussed too much stuff over the summer, because most of the time I spent over the summer, I spent trying to actually get the information that I needed so I could be here tonight. Because in the spring, it was based on emotion. It was raw emotion. There was a lot of stuff going on. We were addressing an issue in regards to where there were personal attacks about people being called racist and during the part, and because of that, it came out that there were some issues. People, since I grew up on Facebook, people that were born and raised here started commenting and getting involved, and we started looking at this history, and we saw that history was starting to repeat itself, or was repeating itself. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up speaking to over 270 people in the Ridgeville Park District over the course of the summer. And out of the 270, a majority of them, and a lot of them didn't know they were in the Ridgeville Park District first. They didn't even realize that they were part of the Park District. But what we ended up doing, I got inside the homes or met them on the porch or got the numbers and called them, and we talked about the issue of race, equity, and things of that nature here in Ridgeville. And there were people that agreed with me, and there were people that disagreed with me. I spoke to it went across all demographics. New couples that just moved here to Evanston with small children, older people who are empty nesters, they're black, white, brown, Muslim. So I got a good feel, because remember, I started this off from a place of emotion. So, and I'm more cerebral than I displayed earlier in the spring. So I know that you guys have done a good job of this, two things that I know, the establishing of committees and things of that nature, start putting things in motion, and also setting aside monies, making this a priority, actually put your money where your mouth is, and I really appreciate you guys for doing that. But the group I represent, Ridgeville United, is a group of Ridgeville Park District residents that have come together under the name of Ridgeville United. The purpose of the group is to research, assess, and problem solve as a community around some of the issues that were brought before you in the spring, mostly concerning institutional racism. We wish to be a partner with your endeavors to promote equity and outreach in a way that we hope to be non-threatening to you, the board, and to have a dialogue in which we don't feel threatened either, because it got kind of hostile in the spring. And so, hopefully at this point in time, cooler heads prepared. We will be making suggestions here tonight and formally requesting steps based on our research. This is not a coup. We ain't coming in here trying to take over. You guys, some of you people have been here for a while, but change is difficult. And in order for some things to happen, everybody in here is going to have to be able to give a little bit and be a lot more flexible in their way of thinking. And I want us to all meet on the moral high ground. I want us to meet up here in regards to whether or not we think institutional racism is right or wrong. And everybody in here will say that it's wrong. So then the next question is what we can do about it. Not you're racist because you're on a part of this organization. That's not what we're looking at. Okay? We can canvass the Ridgeville Park District area, and through feedback from citizens from all demographics, we came up with the following. The issue is that the vast majority of school-age children participating in the Ridgeville Park District programming are white, and there's a lack of connection with the people of color and the youth of color in the district. Police and park district equipment have been systematically used as a deterrent to people of color who use the park facilities. So the problem is around institutional racism. And so what's our goal? What do we want? What are the goals we want to achieve? We want to raise and maintain the percentage of youth of color in the program so that it reflects the surrounding community in schools. We want to create a metric to be used, and this is something that Beth had touched on, that you guys are finding out the correct way through legal counsel to obtain demographic information. So, because if you don't know, I'll get to that in a little bit. Create a metric to be used to track the relationships with people of color and the organizations, businesses, and houses of worship in the district. Transparency and accountability around policing, equipment, and practices. The recommendations that we have, 25% within a year. So within a year, maybe 25% of your total annual programming attended by children of color, or a percent comparable to the Ridgeville neighborhood or Everson schools that feed program. Your two, Oakton and Dawes, are both approximately 75% children of color. The neighborhood is approximately 44% people of color. And since there's no metrics, we can't get an accurate count. So we did drop-ins all summer and just had to count hearings. And so what we came up to found out through doing that is that 8 to 10% of your programming was children of color. And you know, I can't, and so your programming was approximately 90% white. So that goes right into the next thing in regards to the metrics and collecting demographic information. The next thing is code of conduct posted at all parks with restroom and equipment usage posted. A public notice of 30 days or more before equipment is moved or access to facilities restricted, including a reason as to why, except in the case of equipment that has become dangerous, like broken swings or something where you need to take care of that stuff immediately. The other thing is, and I don't think people understand what a barbecue ban means, but I'm going to explain it to you. There are people that live over on Case that literally have to go all the way to James Park at the barbecue when their family comes to town. And it's legal in all other city parks and on the lakefront. The barbecue ban at Ridgeville reflects a bygone era that says through implicit bias that black folk are not welcome. And that's the thing. It's something that you guys don't take that we feel, that black people feel, that you just think is something that doesn't really exist. It exists. Restroom facilities available during park hours. We came by periodically during the course of the summer. And there was only one time out of 6 times I came, but the other folk that came through, they never found a restroom open at facilities, never. So that's just one of those, this is just kind of common sense practices. This has nothing to do technically with the institutional racism, but this is the problem, because as a black man, I'm 7 times, and this is data collected here in Everson, I'm 7 times more likely to be arrested. So me relieving myself behind a tree can end up with me in jail. So these are the types of things that we have to think about. Once again, implicit bias, trying to have a little more empathy in regards to what's going on in our mind. Access to clean drinking water during park hours, once again, that's a no-brainer. Just the water, just having water fountains that were, for the most part, some parks don't have fountains, and the ones that did, sometimes they just weren't working. So that's, like I said, neither here nor there. Keep the basketball hoops up during the summer months until the park closes. We know, we came by quite a few times and the roads were down by 5 or 6 o'clock. So that's something that, you know, and the soccer, they still were playing soccer and things of that nature, but the basketball in certain parks where the roads were gone. Once again, the demographic information collected, maintained, and shared with the community. An outreach program to communities of color, which includes programming content that reflects the surrounding community. Now, one of the things that, you know, I lead by example. That's one thing that I've always tried to do. So what I've done is I reached out, say for instance, it's not like we want to have the kids that have to come over here for sports programming or something like that. I reached out to Loyola Northwestern and I walked up and I went over and I talked to Jim McCallum and Shue. And I talked to him about targeting specific kids of color that need help and trying to find a venue here at Ridgeville where we work with the family, the school, and Ridgeville to provide tutoring and volunteer tutoring, no charge to you, but that would actually, if you got 10 tutors, 10 kids in here that were coming to see tutors, that's 10 kids of color in your building at no cost. And that program literally can start next week. Just FYI, this is just throwing stuff out. Like I said, we're not coming in here to complain, we're trying to problem solve with you. Also, if need be, I'm interested, my theater company, and I don't know if I would do this through the Ridgeville Foundation or through the work with Natalie and get it done, but I'm willing to bring children of color that I know that live around here and do a production with the kids that you currently have in programming. Because my theater company, what we do is that we take children of color, introduce them to theater, and we work around social justice issues. We actually talk about these tough things with kids, and then we dramatize it so that people can feel it. So that's something I'm willing to do pro bono to God to help you get those numbers up as well. The other thing, document all law enforcement interactions with park users and report monthly and report that monthly, and please remove the RPD arrest policy. As a child, my grandfather used to tell me that they used to arrest black folk here, hold them till the Evanston police came down. So I thought it was a story. So, you know, doing research now, I called my Uncle Pete, who's 71. I said, Pete, is that true? He said, it's true. That's why we were scared to go over there. So that kind of, the reasons as to why people don't come, they're not as obvious, but they was like, just don't go. They didn't want to scare us. Just don't belong there, just don't go. So that would be a huge thing to be able to get that off the books, unless y'all planning on arresting us. And then the last two things, post online the process of granting contracts, that's RFPs and procurement. Post any minority or women-owned business bidding and award policy you have for procurement. Have that posted online. And then whether or not there are bid preferences or preferences to individuals or organizations within the Ridgeville Park District. You know, so that we can try to outreach to people that live within those 4 streets. And then the final thing is a meeting from the executive committee here at Ridgeville Park District and the executive committee at Ridgeville United. And that will be within the next 30 days where we could sit down, because this is a volley. If it was a tennis match, this is a volley. And what we would like for you to do is take this information, marinate on it, and let's sit down and let's really work through, like I said, to put money aside so programming and things of that nature could be, we could look at some of that, but to be honest, it's about just taking care of the things that can be done. And I'm confident that within 12 to 18 months, that everything on this that I'm presenting tonight could be accomplished, especially with the help of the community. And thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
I understand that we're not trying to make any decisions on this, it's just that, but could we do a couple comments if any commissioners want, is my question.
I was gonna ask the same, this is your agenda item, and so it was my understanding that maybe there was going to be some discussion,
If you
Q&A.
have questions,
I think part of the reason to put it on the agenda was to allow for more back and forth,
Okay.
as opposed to the citizen comment where really the commissioners aren't supposed to comment. So if you're open to taking a couple questions,
Not a problem.
or if any other board members have ideas.
Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, first. Do you wanna go first?
Oh, hi.
Hey,
It's good to see you.
you too.
I think that you like hit the nail on the head with the hardest part of my job, which is like telling people that we exist. I went to the community picnic on August 25th. I talked about it in my report, but it was such a cool experience. I got to meet so many people, and it's in a different area than Ridgeville, so it was kind of a greater Evanston community. And it reminded me how much people do not know, either that they live here, that we exist, that we offer programming. So I think it's such a cool thing that you were able to reach so many people. And I'm just wondering, like, in those conversations, and we can certainly talk about this privately too, but were you able to share information with them?
Yes.
Like about our programming and our
did.
scholarship programs and that kind of stuff?
Like I wasn't familiar, I believe I told him I thought that you, for a sliding fee scale in regards to scholarships. But the overwhelming response is because a lot of people, since they didn't know about you, they kind of thought it was exclusive. So first of all, they thought it was pricey. They didn't know you offered scholarships. You know, so it's kind of, they looked at it like more of a golf club mentality, like we just, you know, it's hard to explain because I actually talked with a bunch of, not a bunch, but some people that felt that everything is perfect up here, you know, and they have kids here and things of that nature, and they don't see a problem. And I listened to them. I didn't agree with them, but I heard them out, and I began to understand what they were saying too. But especially over by the Main and Fowler area, all over there, nobody has a clue. They're like, aren't those city parks? They don't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know that they're part of the district. So that, right, and we talked about that this spring.
Yeah.
About trying to let people within those 4 streets know, and then the greater Evanston community.
Yeah, because even if there's like, if I can put a flyer together, or something that's like an easy handout that you can give to people to tell them a lot of the things that they're looking for already exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's affordable and we make it work. So, because I think we're on the same page about wanting those things.
Right.
And you're a great resource to get that word out. So
Well,
I would love to.
Like I said, I don't mind helping you. And it's not just me. I mean, we have a team. We have a group of folks that literally are in the district, and some of these folks don't even live in the district, and they're here in support. They're part of a broader group of, it's an umbrella group called Evanston United that has come together. It's approximately 14 groups that are working through moral fusion we're on issues where we agree to work together. And we cross all wards, we cross all demographics. And you know, it's one of those things in today's society that is, I thought it would be a lot more difficult to do than it is, but like I said, if you meet people at take the moral high ground, if we start at the moral place of right and wrong, and then we work from there instead of taking things personally and saying you are this or you're that, I think we can get a lot more done even in this situation.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if you, because we've talked a lot about demographic collection,
Right.
and that's something that Martha and I have talked about within the committee. I put a question on a recent post-camp survey. That's the first time I floated it out there.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, like, if you did your own data collection, and if so, like, can I
I
have
can,
one?
yes,
Okay.
I will send that to you. I'll email you.
And was that all inclusive of camps and classes and programming?
That was programming, and I think I was only like 3 or 4 classes.
Okay.
So, but most programs.
Okay.
But most youth programming is when we were really tough.
Okay, like camp programming
Camp, yeah.
specifically. Okay. All right.
I just want to say, make a comment that, that I got involved. Well, first of all, there should be separation of church and state. And I do wear different hats, and I can't get away and escape my Mennonitism. I'm part of Reaver Church, and my pastor asked me about 9 years ago to get involved here to see what we could do about institutional racism. So at times I felt alone and felt the struggle and not sure if we're making progress. Tonight, for me, represents an answer to prayer. I am so glad that there's a community like this in our big community that's willing to partner with us, because that's what it's going to take for us to do it right. And I'm very, very pleased with Martha Gaines' leadership and open to doing this, and Matt, and of course, Natalie, what you've been doing has just been phenomenal. So I'm now at a point where I'm feeling very hopeful. I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. You've done a lot. Kind of started this.
Can I just address a couple issues? Thank you for your engagement. I appreciate it. I feel like we're actually, we as a board are on board with a lot of the ideas that you have. Some are easier than others. And I don't mean to go down the list tonight, but one of the basketball issue we settled as a board at our July meeting to keep the basketball hoops open till 9 o'clock when all parks close. And then there's 2 other issues, the barbecue and the arrest powers are on the agenda for this evening.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like I said, the progress over the last, because I was doing boots on the ground type stuff. So I have put my head down, and I started collecting most of this information in the spring because I was working with Brian on it. And I took a break and then picked it back up in July and August. So, like I said, I commend you guys. It's not as if I didn't come in here ready for a fight. I came in here ready for a partnership. This spring, I came in here ready for a fight. So I think that we've reached a point where dialogue is going to solve our problems going forward. And to be honest, a lot of folks they don't want to be in here. And I'm not, and I couldn't be that type of person that says, I know you want this change and you need to get out there and do it. But I've sat in those people's living rooms, I talked to them on the phone, I said, well, I'll go and I'll present this on your behalf. It's not as if this is something that we just sprung up willy-nilly, and you guys know that because like I said, this has been going on since March. And so this has been something that's been ongoing in a constant conversation. And the people in Evanston United, I've constantly updated them on progress because I support them in other endeavors that they're doing individually as groups and as a group as a whole, and they support what we're doing. So it's not just your community, Ridgeville Park District community, that you have as a resource, because you also have them. They come with you. So that's the beauty of that.
And then just finally, it's too much to get into the details tonight. One of the action items was to try to schedule a meeting between Ridgeville United and executive leadership of Ridgeville. How would you like to proceed with that?
Can Martha and I email and we can try to set that up? And then what I would like to do like I said, this is more of a volley. I want you guys to really, you've already shown by your actions that the barbecue ban and the arrest powers are on the agenda tonight. You've already addressed the basketball. I didn't even know that was done, so that's something that slipped past me. That's, communication is key. You know, I don't mind admitting if I don't know something, because the only way I'm gonna learn is if I go ask somebody if I don't know. So I appreciate that, and I want us to, from this point forward, to stay in communique and try to take the information that I've obtained and try to do the outreach that we need to do. So you don't have to, look, why go spend $20,000 on an assessment when you know what the problem is? I mean, you might need to do training amongst yourselves, but to be honest, the problem is that we need to change the narrative about this place and let people know what you do. And we can do that between the community and the board and the staff and board. That's just my opinion.
Can I say one more thing? Just so you know, in case it comes up, the after-school tutoring program you're talking about does start Monday at Cayman Fieldhouse. It's available for all middle schoolers. It's free. It's drop-in. They get a snack. It's supervised. They can come and relax and play games. They can come and get help with their homework. But it's available every day after school until 6 p.m.
And so that might be an instance in which we expanded for those kids and targeted so we can build those special relationships, those long-lasting, not a drop-in program, but where we work with the parents in the home, the school, and the program and youth, and we build that three-legged triangle, but allow those kids to have a support base and let this become part of their support. And so it's not just a drop-in; they actually need it, they feel it, they come here, and it's a part of what they do.
I just wanted you to know that because I'm working with Chute and Nichols Middle PTAs and Mr. Mack.
Yeah, Mr.
And the
Mack
city.
told me.
So that's like
he told me that
well
there
on
was
its
some
way.
things going on. He said he was trying to.
Do you know, Natalie, now, do we have volunteers tutoring, or is it the staff we've hired?
We have
to-
staff.
Yeah.
We have our supervisor Shannon, and they just hired a second staff member.
So there might be some volunteers out there, it sounds like, that we could tap into to add
What I'll do,
the
why don't we
support.
set up a meeting next week, and then I can give you all the information I've collected, as well as all the contacts, and help you with that program.
Good. Yeah, and I just wanted you to know, in case that comes up in conversation again, it exists, it's happening.
Yeah.
And we'll build on it.
Done.
Cool.
Anyone else?
I'll definitely follow up with you and talk ad nauseum about all kinds of stuff. So I want to limit what I say publicly because I just want to move on and we can, hash it out in great detail later.
Gotcha.
But I just want to thank you specifically for some things. I want to thank you for providing such great ideas to us in writing because I think that makes it all the more real and it makes it something that we can really revisit later instead of the words. And we do film the meetings, so in that sense, visually we can revisit recordings, but it helps me greatly to see these ideas in writing. I also feel the pressure from them being in writing. They're calling to me, they're calling for action, and so that's good. And I know that that's good, but I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you and anyone else involved in the organization of organizing people, not just ideas, but organizing people who care about these things. So I want to thank you for everything you've done in that, and I know you will continue, so I'm thanking you into the future too for doing that important work. Because, people might care, but if they don't get together and get organized and really push for some things, it doesn't necessarily go anywhere. So this feels great, that you've gotten organized, that you've communicated some things in organized ways. It's awesome. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the roles that you've played in getting that done. I want to thank you also for the emphasis on real life interaction. We've all fallen down some silly holes in the realm of social media. And that's not where we get these things done. We get these things done in real life. So thank you for stepping into that real life realm, and I'm in it too, and I hope we all are. And I just think that's really important. And I think we've already learned that, but I just kind of want to point it out. I know we already know that. Just sharing it with everybody else,
Yes, we have.
And lastly, I just want to thank you for touching on the idea of collaborating with each other instead of fighting. Sometimes fights have to happen first, and then people kind of realize their common ground, and I think that is part of what's happened. I hope and I trust and I believe that we will continue moving in that good direction of collaborating realizing how many things we're actually already on the same page about, and then fleshing out, the details of how we execute the good change that we want to see. And I just want to reiterate, a lot of people who have been following what's going on here already know this, but I want to reiterate that we have budgeted $14,000 to be used as needed for the purpose of hiring professionals to help us with equity work. As we all know, there is some inherent limitations to the work that white people can do for racial equity. It has to be a table with many people of many colors all together. And we have an elected board here that is 5 white people. So, we are going to be doing this the right way, and sometimes that does mean that it takes some time. But please trust William and everybody else listening that we are doing the work. Very seriously doing the work. I was, bummed to hear that Mike from Blue Sky couldn't be here tonight, because that was going to be the fleshing out of our third and final proposal, from a professional entity. But again, the pressure on us, it's good. Keep it coming,
No problem.
Keep coming, keep talking. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to share or ask. I am thrilled at the idea of your theater company coming in and doing some work. I'm all about actionable items, stepping out of the realm of talking about what's happened in the past, stepping out of the realm of talking about philosophically what's wrong, and moving towards actions we can really take and really reach people, especially kids, and especially kids of color, and get even more good things going on in Ridgeville than there already are. And so, you're in theater, that's your specialty, that's your skill set. Let's get that going, for sure. We'll talk more about that.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, William. Does anybody else? Thank you, William and Ridgeville United. Thank you very much for coming. All right, so getting back to our agenda, we're going to move into the boring but necessary stuff. Now, we'll do the approval of the minutes from August 8th first.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that Pat and Matt?
Yes. Matt made the motion?
I'll second.
Pat made the motion.
Pat,
Matt,
sorry.
yeah. Matt seconded.
I noticed there's another set of minutes that's not on the agenda.
This is, right, this is from the budget meeting, so
They're notes.
well, how many did we end up having, commissioners?
They're just
There were two
notes.
commissioners, so there was not a quorum. We advertised it as a special board meeting. There were 2 commissioners, so there was not a quorum for a special board meeting, but we proceeded as a public meeting.
And therefore, we took minutes.
And so we, in the interest of transparency, we proceeded in a public fashion and took public minutes. And those are,
So we really don't have to approve it.
I think we don't, but Natalie's going to put them on the.
I'm calling them notes instead of minutes. But I just wanted y'all to have them, and I put them online as notes because they exist. And
Okay, I mean, unless we should approve them just to, if we don't need to. Okay. Okay. So moving on to the approval of the bills for September. And Natalie, did you want to say anything in place of Brian?
no.
No?
Not really.
Does anybody have any questions? Because
So the ARC Theater that's on there, that's for our Summer Shakespeare. That's Ridgeville Park District's contribution to promoting and supplementing that festival.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Which?
The IMRF. Oh, it's IMRF. Never
Yeah.
mind. Okay. Are there any specific questions about anything else? He took some notes, but it's also here in the line item.
I
So.
move to accept the September bill summary dated September 12, 2019 for the amount of $15,191.51.
I second one.
All in favor?
May I suggest, rather than the word accept, you are voting to approve.
Right.
Approved.
Thank you, Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to the approval of petty cash expenditures for September.
Wood chips, park signs, QuickBooks, yeah. The McPhee is a antivirus protection for Jessica's computer.
Amen. I move to accept the petty cash summary dated September 11, approve the petty cash summary September 11, 2019 for the amount of $1,402.43.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that Pat? Was that Pat second?
Yeah. Okay, so monthly reports, and we'll
Yeah.
do Brian's first. Do you want to?
Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
Wait a minute. This month, in our board meeting, we will need to pass the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year of July 1st, 19 through June 30th of 2020. The latest copy of that ordinance is online and in your monthly packet. In the 8/23/19 budget meeting with Jerry Gibbs, Martha Gaines, Matt Mitchell, Natalie Sully, and myself, we made very few changes within the line items. The final numbers in Exhibit A remain the same as the numbers discussed in the 8/8/19 board meeting. Once you pass the appropriation ordinance, I will begin to plan the completing of several budgeted items like the garage art studio roof and benches. Please remember that the budget hearing begins at 7:15. Yep. We had a tree fall to the west of the community house on 9/2, so we had a big old tree out here that split in half. So he had that removed along with several of the bushes along the building here that were in distress. We also pruned the trees in that area, including a large tree in the center of Ridgeville Park. We will beautify the area west of the community house with a wildflower rain garden in early October, which I'm super stoked about. You'll see the results of that garden in the spring of 2020. Bike the Ridge is on Sunday, September 29th from 9 to 1. The city will have a variety of food trucks in the area, and we will have School of Rock performing. Bike the Ridge is a great event every year, with Ridgeville Park being the hub of activity in the southern end of town. Let's hope we have great weather. Our maintenance crew is still cutting and trimming as necessary. They spray washed the community house last week and have begun preparing equipment for winter months.
Okay, I think we're done with Brian's then. And Jerry, did you?
Mine, I think, is pretty brief tonight. I don't have any reports for distribution. The main focus has just been getting the ordinance ready. The books are officially closed for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019. The auditors have been scheduled. They'll be coming in on September 30th to do the annual audit and prepare the annual report according to GASB standards. We've been working with the budget, ready for passing tonight. I'll maybe kind of, I was trying to get to the point of maybe being able to talk about the appropriation so far into the new year, but a lot of the reports and statements and things we came a little late and relative to the meeting. I just didn't have enough room in the calendar to get anything out, but I could eyeball it a bit, and I can say we're standing at about $110,000 of expenditures so far. Compare that to our planned budget of about $876,000 for the year. So that's just a rough update of where we're at. We closed out the last year with, we had an $877,000 budget. We came within $27,000 of that number. In the corporate fund, we came within $112. That was the fund that I was worried about us going over. We squeaked by. We were within $82 on the Social Security fund, $800 on the liability fund. Where we had the most breathing room was in the recreation fund. We were under budget by about $8,000, and in the capital improvement fund, we were under budget by about $11,000. On the revenue side last year, we actually, and revenue is kind of hard to talk about because of the timing of tax receipts, but from a cash flow standpoint, we actually
If it hadn't been for the Vandenhaven bequest of $65,000, we actually would have come in below revenue projections. So it's a good thing we were below budget because those two we could balance each other out. So because the revenues were down and the expenditures were under budget. That's all I've got. Unless there's any specific questions.
Yes, simply put, the overall plus or minus for the year is how much approximately?
Well, just on just the appropriation side, it's about 26,000 under budget, which was good.
So that's a positive.
That's a positive.
I'm just trying to break
And that's roughly within 3% of what we budgeted. So
Okay.
we managed. So Brian basically ran the district within 3% of the budget, which was really effective management on his part. And on the revenue side, like I say, it's that one's hard to measure because the way the timing of the accounting, you pass a levy ordinance for the year, but you don't get it in that year. You get it spread out over multiple years. So it's harder to talk about the revenue side of the equation.
But for elevator talk, I could say $26,000 in the black for the year.
Yeah. Okay. Now, understand that does not include depreciation or accounting adjustments that will be made in the annual report for pension accounting.
Okay.
Those are two. This is a cash basis, and they get into more of an accrual look at things. So what this means as far as fund balances, whether they'll end up net increase the same or decrease, we won't know until that annual reporting process is complete. But the main thing is we comply with, we pass an ordinance, we tell the public this is what we're going to spend. We don't spend more than that. We manage as close to that number as you probably possibly can get. And that's about all we can control.
Thanks, Jerry. Any other questions? So moving on to Natalie's report.
Yeah, I've got a letter here from Mike Miro. You guys want it? Yeah. Oh, no, here. You can have it after.
Oh, okay.
How's that? Just really quickly, he says, Dear Ridgeville Park District Commissioners, as you know, Bike the Ridge is Sunday, September 29th, and we're expecting another great turnout. In past years, local businesses and nonprofits have requested to have a presence at Ridgeville Park to distribute information about their organization. Last year, we formalized that process with an official sponsorship package that gave businesses, nonprofits a designated table on the east side of the park. Proceeds from these sponsorships help fund our annual concerts and Ridge Festival. Annual concerts on the Ridge Festival. This year we hope to build on the progress we made last year and get a few more local businesses, nonprofits to participate. We're committed to abiding by all Park District regulatory codes and do not allow political organizations to have a formal presence in the park. Thank you for your continued partnership and support. So he asked me to read that to you. That being said, if you know of any local businesses that might be interested in that, I can connect them with Mike and the foundation. Okay, this month Ridgeville Park District celebrates Latin American heritage. The Ridgeville Readers will be discussing United States of Banana on Sunday, September 29th at 3 p.m. It's really great if you haven't read it. Please join us. Community picnic. I attended the City of Evanston's community picnic on the 25th. It was a great chance to meet more of our Evanston community and share information about our programs and events. There were easily 1,000 people there. As per usual, I heard from most that I spoke to that they didn't know we existed, which proves how important these event opportunities are for us to spread the word and to develop new partnerships. I passed out every item of Ridgeville swag we had in this building. Every 10-year-old hat and pen and tote bag was being used and worn. It was amazing. Thank you to Martha for coming to hold down the fort so I could come back to the park and finish filling up my car with stuff. Oh, we have to. I literally had nothing left. It was so great. Everybody had a Ridgeville bag. Everybody had a Ridgeville hat on. It was fantastic. So I look forward to doing events like that in the future with the city. Again, if there are events that you hear of or know that Ridgeville could have a presence at, please let me know because that was a really great networking opportunity. Farmers Market, just a reminder, it runs through October 2nd. We're going to have a musical duo, Bill and Joe. playing on the 25th from 5 to 7. Studio 908 classes, the adult fall 1 class session is going well. They're about halfway through their 8 weeks. Coming up at the end of September, we're offering 2 free demo classes with our new instructor, Cynthia McFadden. There's a couple flyers over here on the board. You can check those out. She's offering line dancing for beginners and low impact movement. These are free classes that are open to the community. The youth fall classes begin this week. They are almost full. I'm happy to report that all but 2 classes will run this session, making it a total of 13 youth classes in total running. That's far more than we've ever run in one session. Laura Downey is a gem. I'm looking to add a youth hip hop class after the new year. Monthly workshops are off to a good start. I'm adding a few new ones this fall. We've had 2 MELT workshops with Mr. Keller of Nutrizolts. Mr. teaches our pound class here at the park and was recently certified in MELT, which is a pain relief method that uses manual therapy with small balls to reduce inflammation. Our special needs social dances are still going strong. They run on the last Saturday of every month and are always well attended. The Ridgeville Readers Book Club is trucking along. There's about 4 of us who consistently come and read the books and chat about it. And then looking ahead, we're offering a free seminar with Advocate Financial Partners for seniors in our community. It's a free event to learn more about healthcare options and financial support that's available to them. We'll also be offering 2 felting workshops for families this fall, so stay tuned on details for those.
It'll be like all ages, the felting workshops?
It's geared towards kids 16 or older.
Oh, okay.
Kids 12 to 16 can attend with a guardian.
Okay.
What is that? What's
Felting, that was my question too. So she makes like owls and like out of felt.
towels?
Owls, like are like little figurines, like pumpkins.
It's
owls,
it's
gnomes.
needle felting, right?
It's needle
Yeah.
felting.
Can she
So
make
felting-
towels?
What's that?
Can she make towels?
Maybe.
Felting is where wool shrinks if you like use water to do it, but needle felting is where you're like literally like poking the wool in and making art with it.
You're making art.
Yeah.
It's art. Yeah, it's essentially like an art workshop.
Not to that workshop.
I think that you should.
We're probably flunking.
The owls are real cute. And I'm going to have a flyer about that, and I'll distribute that in October when we get closer to those workshops so you can see.
When is the advocate workshop?
It is a group that, so she and I just had a little phone meeting to discuss it. It's a free event and they do it at local like community centers, just to kind of educate the seniors in the community about like financial support options and healthcare. They're gonna bring snacks, it's free, and they're not selling a product, they're just giving out information, so you seem.
Was there a date yet?
They're selling.
Are they? Is she coming or?
They're open.
It's free for them to come. Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah. All right. You seem to know more information about that than I do.
Is there a date for that yet?
It is, I just said it, I made it after I made this report. It's on October 17th, I think, is the date. I'll double check. It'll be in my October report, but I think it's the 17th. The Cayman Park After School Program. I've had several meetings with the city to discuss promotions for the Cayman Park After School Program. I've connected with the Chute PTA and as of today, the Nichols PTA, to get out the word about the program. Chute had a back to school pizza party that I went to. There's also another event next week, like a parent teacher night that I'm gonna go to. Shannon, who runs the program, she and I have discussed offering monthly workshops for the kids on a theme, so like a basketball tournament once a month and like bringing in some folks from ETHS or like doing a yoga with one of our instructors, or I told her she knows the kids, and so talk to them, take a poll, whatever they want to do. If we have the resources to help facilitate that workshop, then we can do that. So she and I are working together on that. And we've seemed to have a lot of interest. We've gotten some phone calls about the after school program. This is really the first year that we've been able to like pub it and promote it because just the way that it's evolved. So I look forward to a good turnout.
So are the schools promoting it too?
Yeah. When it started and it was a pilot program, I think there was a targeted group that Mr. Mack had in mind that needed it. but not many of them actually came. And so like at that point we hadn't promoted it because they asked us not to. And then last year we just kind of trucked along with what they were doing. And now this year, specifically with the grant money that we've received from ECF, my goal with the grant is to expand the program in terms of participation, because I have very little control over the program from a programming standpoint, because that's really the city's thing. But I can help as needed and certainly help with the promotion. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Good, great.
Fall Frenzy is on September 29th with Bike the Ridge. Everything that Brian said. Website update. Mike Miro is offering some pro bono consulting services to us as we research web designers to update our website. At this time, we're collecting information on local firms and independent designers that would be willing to work with us within our budget using an updated version of the same host, which is Squarespace, that we currently use, excuse me. I would really like to get started with this sooner than later. I'm hoping that we can figure out who we're working with and get started this fall. My ultimate goal is to work with a designer to create a clean slate site that's mobile friendly and extremely simple to navigate. I suspect that the upgrade to a newer version of Squarespace will achieve most of that, but the ease of use is my main priority. So he and I have talked about some options based on our budget. We will likely not be able to hire a large firm to build us a brand new website, essentially. Our budget kind of falls more towards like maybe a big firm wants to give us a break because we're a community organization, and that would be cool. But more likely, the chances are more likely that we'll work with an independent website designer to update to the new Squarespace, for them to create a design, and then I will actually do most of the content transfer on the back end myself. So that is likely what's gonna happen. But right now we're just researching some local firms and designers to kind of get a better picture of who is willing to work with us within our budget. So I floated that out on Facebook. I got a couple emails. It's on our website. So if you all know of anybody or that comes up, you know, send them my way. And then I just wanted to say, because I know Dan had asked on the email that you sent for an update on the Equity Outreach Committee. Martha and I we met with Dr. Logan, and we've talked a little bit about, particularly in crafting like the demographic question that went on our camp survey. It took me a long time to figure that out, but you know, we want to be respectful and responsible of like how the committee is formed, and we think it's probably best at this point to wait until we have the guidance of the organization that we end up working with on the equity work. So we're gonna before we like really dig into like figuring out how to like fully form the committee and like take in new members or the application process or whatever. We want to do it right, and so I think that the guidance of whoever we end up working with, whether it's the YW or Dr. Logan or Mike Simmons, like we would like for them to help guide us into that process.
Question then.
Yeah.
Those are public meetings, right? I think when we talked about the committees, those would be public.
Oh, yeah.
Are those published then, and can folks who want to help consult join just to be a person there, but not on that committee?
It's a good question that I look forward to having guidance and answering.
I think that would help the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
I do believe that we have some folks within this Ridgefield United that maybe not necessarily are the folks you're looking for on the committee, but I'll bet they could offer some good advice
Yeah,
on
for sure.
ideas.
I think so
Just
too.
invite them to the meeting or something.
Yeah.
We had talked at one point about maybe doing sort of, I don't know if town hall is the right term, but sort of like a very informal meeting that's definitely open to the public and that anyone can attend, and having it just be sort of a brainstorming idea session. I say informal because I think it will make everybody who has any thoughts or ideas feel welcome and part of the discussion, instead of needing to feel like they have some sort of professional, you know, experience or certifications or this or that, you know, a resume to because, you know, and also because coming and sharing ideas and discussing things together is one thing. people actually applying to be on a committee is sort of obviously an up level from there. But I'd love to see it open to everybody. And I think I fully agree with what Natalie said, and we'd already spoken about this, that we want to form the committee in a formal way with some guidance. That being said, it doesn't mean we have to sit around and do nothing until we get to those steps. So I think, I'd love to hear from anybody else if they have thoughts on this, but I think we could definitely publicize, a get together, not even call it a meeting, although with Open Meetings Act, if more than 2 commissioners come, then it is. But, having it be an early committee brainstorm session, however we want to call that, just so that people from the community, Ridgeville United and more broadly, can just, get a discussion going. I think it's a good idea. So Natalie and I will talk more about that and, schedule it.
Yeah. And whoever we end up working with in terms of the equity outreach work, that's kind of a limited engagement, right? Like, I don't know how long we'll be working with those people, and I think the committee is an opportunity to continue that work within ourselves and within our immediate community. So,
And to be clear, my question is more on transparency. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know that in public, in our board meeting, we talked about our committee meetings being open in public. So I would encourage the committee that's there now, the two of you guys, just to publicize when you do meet and invite people so people can come. And plus, I love Martha's idea, that town hall meeting. And if there's any way that I could help enhance that, I think of things like pizza or watermelon or something. Just bring some food too, make it inviting for people, more people. I'd love to see 100 people come to something like that. That'd be great. Like you said, anybody. You don't have to be a pro in it, just anybody come. Yeah.
Right.
So those are two different things. I'm looking at publicizing the meetings so that people can come. I think that would help us.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think we had talked about this actually at the last meeting when Dr. Logan presented, and we talked about whether we would have him meet with us and have it be open to the public, or whether we would have him meet with us and we would sort of, do some follow-up to his presentation. And what it ended up being was a meeting where it was just the 3 of us, and it gave him more information from our perspectives after listening to what everybody from the community has been saying, so that he could actually form a more specific proposal for us. If you'll recall, I don't know if, were you at the meeting when he presented? Oh, okay. So, a lot of our questions to him, his answers back were frequently of the nature of, well, I'm going to tailor that to your needs, which is a fair enough answer, but I think we're going to have to see his proposal to know what kinds of things he's actually offering us. And I believe he emailed us and said his proposal is ready, but I don't think we have it yet. Okay, so that's the next step with him. I also think, you say you want 100 people at the meeting. I see where you're coming from on that. I also think smaller groups where we can have, intimate discussions and, not need amplification to hear each other and things like that serve a purpose as well. And perhaps we would schedule many of those and have them be just ongoing so that whoever can come one time can come, instead of it being a one-time thing and 100 people come. I'm just kind of brainstorming about how to engage the community in a discussion, format that's informal but nonetheless very productive. So it sounds like people would come. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we can talk more about that. Maybe that's an equity committee or outreach type thing too.
Did you say you're still waiting for a proposal from who?
Well, Dr. Logan, the situation with him is kind of interesting because he wasn't one of our initial 3 proposals. He actually contacted us after we'd gotten those 3 and said, I heard from someone in the community that you're looking to do equity work. I do that kind of work. May I throw my hat in the ring kind of thing.
So we did the
We said
presentation
yes.
a couple months ago.
He did the presentation, right. But unlike the 3 that had written proposals that were submitted to us, he had not done one of those. And he also wanted to talk to us more before he could even put one together. So he has, and we will, I imagine we could include that, just like you've added Mike's again in here. Next month, if not, earlier. That's probably something that we can also disseminate to board members via you, right, before the next meeting, I would think.
Okay, is Mike Simmons rescheduling?
He's gonna come to October.
Coming in October.
Yeah.
And I would encourage a discussion about that, right? About the equity proposals that we've received? Or is that gonna we can talk about that later, but is that planned for October? Do we know?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because if we don't even hear from him until October, I guess making some sort of a decision and taking some action also in October at that meeting would just presuppose that we all feel like we've,
Made a decision.
well, yeah, and I don't know if that's fair, that we make a decision immediately after hearing from him versus taking some time to think about it and compare, you know what I mean, when we're not on the spot at the meeting. What do you think?
I'd be willing to make a decision at the next meeting after hearing this proposal.
Really?
Well, are you gonna have that from Dr. Logan by October?
Yeah, I'd like to, I just, if we don't, then we're into November.
But better we do it right, and, you know,
Sure.
in another month, but to
You
do
can
it
also call a
right.
special meeting.
Like a
To
week
discuss
later.
that.
Yeah, you might even want to consider doing that way, it's just on that one topic, and you can just get right through
Do
it.
that.
hmm That's a good idea, because it makes it a nice compromise time-wise, that we don't feel pressured at that meeting, but we don't have to wait a whole, month. So we could actually plan for that and have plenty of notice to
And
posting.
I would digest whatever the written materials are.
Right, exactly, which I do think is important. I mean, you can feel how you feel. After hearing from him, we may even feel ready. So I don't think we should feel like we can't make a decision that night. I don't think we should expect ourselves to.
Sure. I like the idea of a
special meeting.
shortly after and keep it moving.
Yeah, we could even couple that with sort of an equity committee,
Yeah.
element where we can report about anything that's happened since then. And absolutely sort of, combine it with an idea of the community putting their ideas into. What I like about talking to the community, anyone from the community who would want to weigh in, if they've, accessed these proposals we've gotten already, if they've watched the meetings or attended the meetings where presentations were made, before we make a decision, in theory, I would love to hear from the community about how they're leaning, who did they like and why, what do they think we should do? Because this is work that we're doing for the community, not just for ourselves. So that all could be something that we put together, possibly before the October meeting, so that we can, although they haven't heard from Mike then, maybe it needs to be after the October meeting.
Yeah.
We can noodle on that. Okay, so we had kind of started talking, were you done with your
I'm done.
report? Okay.
And Jessica does not have it.
Okay. Moving on then to old business, discussing a board governance committee. That is your item?
Sure, it is. It's something I've been interested in for 7 years. I just think it would be smart and wise of our board to have an active committee that meets between our board meetings that looks at board governance. And it's a broad term, but what I mean by that is that one or two, probably two commissioners and maybe one or two people in the community really dig deep into our bylaws, our ordinance, our Robert's rules, our agenda, how it flows, and always be a committee group where if questions pop up about how we do our business, that committee could take a look at those questions and proactively also educate the board on, well, this is what Robert rules are, and it's kind of a how we act kind of committee. So that's the idea behind it.
Okay. Do you want to, obviously, I would assume, but I'll be explicit here. You are suggesting that we form one and you would like to be on that committee?
I would if we have one. I know as our president, you're adjunct member of all committees anyway, so that would be two, but I don't want to overburden you either. But if someone else, like our attorney, Matt or something was into it, I would love to have someone like that, because I'm not an attorney, and it would be, I think.
I'm not our attorney.
No, but I mean, for our committee to have that legal skill, I think would help a committee like that.
Well, I don't feel good about that. No disrespect to you. We haven't.
I can't hear, sorry.
No disrespect to Matt and the attorney, but we have an attorney. I don't really see why we have to, you're saying your legal advice and this. We have an attorney that we pay.
Well, let me clarify then. I don't mean that Matt would be our legal representative. I just think his mind and his expertise as a City of Chicago Park District attorney, he comes to our group with a lot of depth in how park districts should work. So I would love to have Matt's take on that in a committee like that. Now, inviting our corporate attorney to every committee meeting, that adds up to some serious dollars, so I'm not looking for that. I'm really looking for a committee that meets between our board meetings that does this specific task. That's a proactive and reactive as issues pop up on how we do business. That's all.
That committee would have no power, I mean, would have
No,
no power, it's just talking to each other.
none. No. It's really just a working group that functions and report back to us once a month or whatever. Anything. It might be nothing, but.
Were you gonna say something?
My feeling is that with such a small board, this is work that I think is important and would like to address. But with such a small board, I feel like this is work we can do probably at board meetings.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just my gut feeling for the.
It just lets.
Then you can take it off the agenda.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I guess I'm still kind of looking for more specifics. That's where I'm coming from, is that I don't even feel like I know enough about what the duties, would be to feel like I want to dismiss it. But I also don't necessarily feel convinced of the need of it. Does that make sense? I'm kind of willing to keep it on the agenda and we could talk more. Like if you want to talk about specific instances of things that have happened in the past that would be the kind of thing that
Well,
that committee would
sure.
talk about.
I mean, maybe that's the way to do it. We could just be it could be a check and balance each month on how we're doing on protocol, let's say, of how we work as commissioners. One of them could be board attendance. There's been an issue about me being absent. I'd be happy to have a rational adult conversation about that. What is the expectation and what should we do about that? Not just me personally, but I mean the policy or whatever we want to call it. Also, how much time does any individual member spend talking during a meeting? With Robert's rules, I understand there's a 10-minute limit kind of a thing. So training each other about how do we make decisions following Robert's rules. And it could be that we just teach each other as we go. So that would work. I just thought that if we did some work between meetings, we might be able to have some easy, here's a outline of what we meant by that. Or
Then it gets to be just a couple of people bringing in that outline. I totally agree. There's 5 people on the board. This is what we should be doing in the meetings.
Right. I'm not wild about the nature of some board members telling other board members how to act either. I feel like if there are issues, we can certainly address it, and I feel like we have to some extent when things have come up. Certainly my hope is that we already know how to act and that we do what we're supposed to do. I know that doesn't always take place, but I don't know, at this point I would say, unless you have anything else to add or anyone else has any questions, it sounds like collectively we're not convinced of a need for the committee. I'm definitely still open to it. I also just want to put it out there that if these are things that are important to you, or if there are things that are important to anyone, you can certainly spend some time on the outside, similarly to how you would if you were in a committee for that purpose, and add things to the agenda as needed, or share information as needed. If there's something in Robert's rules that you think we all need to know, you can't email all of us because of OMA, but you can send it to Natalie and she can pass it along.
You really shouldn't do that either.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought that was the preferred.
No, it really.
It's viewed as the same thing, basically?
There was an instance this month where some materials for this piece were passed on from one board member to Natalie, and she passed it on to everybody. Technically, that's probably a violation of the meeting act. I've asked Natalie to just include that in the materials posted so that it's a technical issue and the information's all out there for everybody. But we really shouldn't be looking as using them as an intermediary to get everything out to the board members. Because it's really just evading the statute.
Okay, I totally understand that. I guess I'm just kind of frustrated
It can get
with,
confusing.
Yeah.
So, I think what we talked about a few months ago was, if somebody couldn't make a meeting, just let Brian know, and he can do something about it, contact other people, find out what dates are available, or that type of thing is different. And if this materials had been given to Brian to begin with, he could have distributed it, and it wouldn't be a violation of the meetings act. But because it was really one member saying, this is stuff that's going to be discussed at the meeting, it's really a technical violation of the meetings act, in my opinion.
well, but we get our documents before the meeting, and they are physically sent to our house, but almost always there's the, bills and petty cash which get emailed to us.
Right,
So how is,
those don't come from,
They're not from a
they don't
board
come from the board members.
but you're saying that something could be given from a board member to Brian and he could then disseminate it?
We really shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Because it has to be public.
Okay.
The idea is that any discussion of the agendas, of the issues to be presented, all needs to be happening out here in the public where they can see and hear what's going on.
Okay, so the written notes from William that accompanied his presentation tonight that were sent to board members, that should not have been either?
So if he had sent it to board members, it's fine.
Okay.
If Brian had sent it to board members, it's fine.
Okay.
It's just one board member can't say, this is going to be discussed at the meeting.
Even via Natalie or Brian? Okay.
That doesn't really work.
Okay.
But to clarify, had that happened earlier, that William had that information, for example, if
He had given
Matt
it to
had
you.
given it to me, we could have put it in the packet and made it available online. Is that okay?
I prefer that Matt not give it to you.
Okay,
I
okay.
prefer that it came from the public and made it available.
Got it, okay.
If Matt does give it to everybody and it goes online, you may have a violation, but in the spirit of the statute is being met. If it's all being made available.
So the cleanest is a public member of our community
Yeah.
can give information to Brian or Natalie. She can distribute it, that's not a problem.
So let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
The thought process is if any member of the board is distributing stuff to other members of the board that really isn't in the sight of the public, that's a problem. That's what we're trying to avoid. So if some member is distributing something to the board, we want the public to know what it is. We want it all the Park District business, except for the few things that are accepted in the statute, all of it should be in the view of the public, so that they know what's going on.
Okay.
And it can be a little bit of a burden on you, it can be annoying, but it's important the public has an understanding of what's going on.
I totally get that. I guess I'm wondering if there are any approved methods of communication among board members outside of formal meetings.
No,
You can communicate one-on-one,
up
that's
to two,
it. Yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
If the five of you end up at the same Cubs game, you say, what a great game, that's fine. But you can't discuss Park District business.
Okay. And do you know, I know there have been some legal decisions made relating to social media and, things online. Do you know on Facebook in particular if there are any clear rules about what can be done or shared or said? And if three board members engage with one another on Facebook, that's kind of public, but it's not officially public.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know of any decisions that are made on that. Certainly, if you're dealing with Facebook Messenger, where, to my understanding, it's more of a closed communication.
Right, that's private, yeah.
That's problematic. You can certainly post, I hope the board does the right thing tomorrow on this, and you post that publicly, it's just a public statement. It's not a big deal. That's how I would do it.
Okay.
This is great. This is the governance committee thing I was thinking of. So when we do it like this, I'm in all in. This is healthy.
Right, and I don't see a problem with integrating it into the meetings. One valid argument for perhaps having a committee is that, if we see
Think
that,
of that air conditioner, it's right blowing in my ear.
yeah, it's so loud and it is plenty cold in here, I think.
It is, yeah.
I don't want to see, board governance or really any other topic take up too much time of our meeting, so that's a
No.
consideration.
No.
But if things just come up here and there, so, I mean, just to be clear, from my stance, I'm willing to discuss it further. And I
feel
think,
very good about it.
I think also that clearly we cannot communicate, outside of the meeting, but if.
Well, two people can.
Right, but if you want to,
Yeah.
you or anyone else wants to bring sort of behavior related or, Robert's rules related or anything like that, items, then bring them, add them to the agenda. Speaking of the agenda, we're gonna move to new business then and officially approve the budget and appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year July 1 of 19 to June 30th, 2020.
Make a motion to approve
Well, there's, I want to point out that, as Jerry's previously mentioned, we changed the appropriations and how the categories are done. So the one thing that's different from this ordinance than we've done in the past is we've added a schedule, an exhibit B, that Jerry largely prepared, that allows the public to understand what categories in the prior appropriation ordinance were consolidated into what categories here. So there's some transparency. If anybody's of the mind to do so, they could go back and hopefully, when they did it, it would add up exactly the same as it's done. And the board's had this information before, but I just want to point out, we put that in an exhibit to the ordinance because it would be easier for the public.
Exhibit B you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and this again is because of the reformatting that we did, and we're just making it clear that we reformatted and, okay. Yeah, I think that is important to note. But is there anything else we need to discuss about that, or that's just we can
Go right
approve
ahead.
it? Okay, so I think you had made the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
You seconded? All in favor of approving the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019 and ending July 30th?
We need a roll call.
Oh, we do, okay. Are you calling roll? I think it's usually the minute taker that calls.
Okay.
Just us, you go around.
Yeah, just go around the row.
Commissioner Braun,
Aye.
Commissioner Gaines,
Aye.
Commissioner McCourt,
Aye.
Commissioner Coyne,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
Great.
And I just want to say that I don't believe,
Go ahead.
I don't believe we've ever had this number this high before. It's, if I understand right correctly, the total is 876,300.
That is correct.
And that's pretty darn cool.
Well, so taxpayers might feel differently, but
I mean, but well, it's good programs and we're investing in them.
So I think that it added up to 5-0 that it passed.
Yes, that's good to record. It did pass 5 to nothing.
the other thing is the bigger that number gets, we cross a threshold to where there's yet higher levels of accountability financial reporting wise that we have to comply with. So,
Great problem.
yeah, no, I don't want that. I'm not
Okay,
where
sure,
it is.
yeah.
The auditors will let us know when we get there, and we're getting close to it.
Yeah, you want to sign? Jerry, Debbie and I both have to sign each check?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the next agenda item was from Commissioner Braun, discuss weekend park issues. She would like to move that to a time when Brian is here.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Do we need to take any official action to just sort of table something? Okay. Discuss motion to have Ridgeville Park District Corporate Council draft bylaw revision repealing arrest powers of Ridgeville Park District Commissioners. This is from Commissioner Coyne, and so I'll let you talk about this.
Part of my comfort in our board meetings is for us to have specific, clear motions, and if they're seconded, then have a discussion versus have a discussion and then the motion. So I do move that we have RPD Corporate Council draft bylaw revision, repealing arrest powers of Ridgeville Park District Commissioners.
So,
That's a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Now we can have discussion, see my point? Then we know what we're talking about.
so the motion is a bylaw. We don't have any bylaws that allow for arrest. We have an ordinance, an organizational ordinance that was adopted in 1988, that has certain provisions in there regarding the appointment of police by the board. My belief is that the board has never appointed any police. Well, the board has the option to do that in the future. It has never done so. So there's really nothing the board could do. There's really no reason the board could do anything now to do that, because they haven't taken the steps to do it to begin with. The other issue is, under state law, any commissioner who has successfully completed a training course administered by the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board has the power to arrest people within the parks, the parks, boulevards, driveways, and property controlled by the park district. But that's state law, so you don't have the ability to undo that. The legislature has adopted that. And my guess is that nobody on the board has actually completed that training in any event. So I don't think there's anybody who has the ability to arrest. So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you would want me to do based on the motion.
Well, first of all, I would like to clarify that I thought it was a bylaw, but it sounds like it's an ordinance.
Yes.
So I would like the ordinance language to be changed, because ultimately the outcome of my action here is to get off the books any arrest part of our job. Now, that doesn't mean changing the state law. That just means the state law stays as it is. So if a commissioner who has law enforcement training ends up being a commissioner, the law kicks in.
Right. The ordinance doesn't give anybody on this board authority to make an arrest. The ordinance just makes provisions for the adoption, the appointment of a police and police force, which you would also need to end up paying for, and regulates how that would be conducted. The provisions in that ordinance, I believe, were pretty standard in 1988, and that every park district that adopted an ordinance about that time has roughly the same provisions. But the park district has never really used them. It's just kind of there. If you want to do this, then it's set up so that you could then go forward with it. But you would need to pass, you would need to appoint somebody to Park District Police to do that. And it doesn't give commissioners authority to do it.
Could you spend this next month looking into this motion to see what kind of language change could happen on our ordinance to eliminate the arrest language?
I can draft something to repeal that entire provision.
Right.
If that's what you want, but I'm trying to make, it's not what you suggested, so I'm trying to make that clear.
I object to spending any legal
Yeah.
money to do this.
So
We've
for
already
the
spent
next
enough
month.
legal money for FOIA requests. We don't need to spend any more legal fees on this issue. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's irrelevant.
Well,
May I ask a question, just because what I'm hearing is a parallel to like the financial side? It's my observation that in general, our ordinance kind of mirrors whatever state park district code law is. What is the logic behind why everything that state law states is then repeated in our ordinance? Do you know that?
I wasn't around in 1988. But my suspicion is that I'm kind of guessing here. My guess is the state law says that the park district can do this, and the ordinance says we are going to be able to do this. And it's still going to be controlled by state law. With respect to the arrest power that I discussed, that's a separate part of state law. That's automatic. It gives the commissioner who has this training the ability to make arrests. And it's interesting, well, it's interesting to me, but in 1997, prior to 1997, any park commissioner did have the authority to make arrests. And they added the training requirement.
State law.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the training requirement also now applies to Park District Police as well.
Well, part of my motivation in this motion is trying to respond to what I feel from our community that we heard tonight, that it would be helpful to have this off our ordinance language. And I don't think that would adversely affect the state law, like Jerry mentioned. It's already there.
That's why I was asking. I was required to understand the rationale, to understand what's the impact of if we deviate from state law, what issues are there, if any?
So,
There may be none.
can I jump in? What I'd like to do is table this to the next meeting and have the specific ordinance language
Shown to us.
that you're looking to address, prior to asking Mr. Valenti to do any work on it.
Does everybody have the ordinance?
I do, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. I've looked at it, I didn't read it, I just quickly looked. It begins on page 38 of the ordinance, and it goes for 3 or 4 pages after that.
Thank you. Sure.
And I understand what you're saying. It may be that Ridgefield never needs to have a police department, and those sections never matter. But, you know, I would prefer that whatever we may want to be done is in the ordinance, and the ability is there to ever move into it in the future. And I would suggest that maybe what you want to do is let the public know that Ridgefield has never had a police department since 1988 at least. And there is nobody with authority to make arrests on behalf of the Park District.
So no commissioner can make an arrest? That's
Unless
just-
they have the training
And none of us
specified in the
have
statute.
it. Do you
Which is
have-
state law.
I don't have it in front of me, but, so here, I'm hearing two different things, and when I read the ordinance in the spring, I read it as, commissioners have the arrest power within the parks. What I'm hearing is that in 1997, there might have been an amendment to state law.
So there's a state statute, which since I just gave you a copy of the section in front of you. Chapter 70, ILCS, section 1205/4-7, which was amended in 1997 to require that the completion of the training course by the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board for anybody who would have the power to arrest in a park district. So if any commissioner has that power, because they've completed that, I believe state law trumps whatever your ordinance is, and they would have that right, and the board could not strip them of that.
That's state law, right.
I don't think anybody has it.
No.
Right, so to spend the money to have you rewrite it, to me seems really,
And I do like Matt's idea.
Well, my idea though is that the ordinance as written predates this state
Yes,
law.
yes.
And so may have language in it that is incorrect.
I didn't study it because, I looked and saw that it was there. I didn't study it, and we can look at that, and be ready next month on that. But
That was my hope.
Well, so, if we need to make a minor amendment to the ordinance to make it compliant with state law,
That would make me feel better, yep.
then I think we should discuss it. Maybe next one.
so that gives Charlie work to do? It does not.
I think as commissioners, we should look at,
I will be bringing the ordinance with me, unless you decide not to have me come. Because normally in October is not necessarily a month that I would think I would be needed,
Oh, okay.
No.
but sometimes,
We need to.
all right, so I move to table this till next month.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item D in new business, discuss motion to repeal RPD policy against barbecuing in RPD parks, establish safe and reasonable means to barbecue in RPD parks, including safe disposal of used barbecue coals. Commissioner
I
Coyne?
make a motion to repeal Ridgeville Park District policy against barbecuing in Ridgeville Park District parks, as long as we can establish a safe way and a fun way and equitable way to do barbecuing. That's my motion.
Second motion.
Barbecuing is allowed in the parks, you just need to go through the proper, stages of appeal, of asking for a permit and everything. Is that not right, Natalie?
Yeah, so this is Brian's packet of information
Does it make
about
sense
that.
to work table this until next month, until Brian is here? Or do you wanna-
She has all the information.
If you want to hear from Brian, that's
Let's
totally
let's
fine.
start with that, and then we can see if we want to talk to Brian more.
So Brian told me, people are allowed to barbecue. They just have to get a permit from us first. And they do, and he does approve those. He encourages people to get to bring gas grills, because we don't currently have any, like you said, safe way to dispose of coals. He called insurance, he spoke with the city so that we can make some changes to kind of more closely reflect their policy on that. They also have a permit, this is their application. And he has asked them for information on what kind of safe coal disposal containers they use, and he plans to purchase a few of those. However, insurance and the city both said that it is not advised that you allow any kind of barbecuing in contained spaces around play equipment, which would eliminate our tot lot and Reba, and other like immediate playground areas. So his goal with that is, and I imagine with the board, I'm not sure, but to establish specific designated areas for the barbecuing, and just to make that process clearer to folks, because there's not.
But at this point, barbecuing is allowed, so we're
Oh,
not
yeah.
adding any barbecue.
What's the permit look like? That's the
That's
city
the
of Evanston.
city's.
What's our permit look like?
It looks very similar to the rental agreement that you filled out for.
Okay, if
for
you could
that.
just,
Yeah.
you don't, legally, she can email it to us. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Email it.
Yeah,
She can distribute anything
Yeah.
to the commissioner.
absolutely.
But that idea is perfect, that fits
Well,
right.
not commissioner. Anything legal.
It's being done already.
But this fits perfectly in what I was hoping. That's the intent of my motion, is
Yeah.
to revise our policy, and it sounds like our executive director is already starting to revise it.
Well, the policy that is in existence doesn't say they can't barbecue. So I don't know if there's anything to revise. I think it's more just about clarifying it for the community.
Whichever
and,
way, yep.
And supplementing by
And-
getting the coal dispenser.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so that people can barbecue with coals.
Yeah, because
I'd also like to review the 1988 ordinance. I think it might be addressed in there.
It might be what?
barbecuing in the ordinance?
I think it might
Might be what?
be addressed in the ordinance. At the the 1988 ordinance is not online.
I would suggest that you may want to clarify and put in writing what the current policy is, so people know, so there isn't confusion about
Right.
whether they can or can't.
Right.
Well, I was actually going to ask why Commissioner Coyne, why is it that you thought we had a policy against
The
barbecue?
last 7 years, when I've been involved, I've had police officers who've been called to respond to people barbecuing in our parks, and they tell me, and they stop and they're like, Dan, I wish we didn't have to do this. I don't want to do this. So I've also had constituents in our community say, Dan, why can't we barbecue? They feel like they can, even though it sounds like they can't. So it could be, just like Charles had said, that we just clarify and communicate more clearly
Yeah.
that it is okay to barbecue. We want you to, and
Yeah.
here's some safe spots you can do it that's not near the kids, and people will barbecue in the future, and I'm good with
Why
it.
would
I
somebody
think-
who's barbecuing in the park not think they have to get a
What's that?
permit,
I can't
you
hear.
know?
Why would somebody think they don't need a permit?
Yeah, I mean, I've barbecued in the park, you get a permit, you go through the steps and you do it. If somebody barbecues in the park and they don't have a permit, they're breaking, you know.
Right, I guess I'm still confused about why Commissioner Coyne thought there was a policy
Yeah.
against it, because
Well, is it in the bylaws?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't know that this was an issue in one way or another. It seems like if people had asked to barbecue and they were told no, then obviously they think they can't. I'm just wondering, like, what happened? What caused this to be an issue, and why was there an assumption that we had a policy against it?
Because the police were called to kick people out.
But they were probably called by residents who
I-
live
I-
here,
I-
not the park district itself, right?
I don't know that detail. I'm
You
talking
don't
about,
know.
no,
Okay.
no, our secretary, not our current secretary, but our office called me, the police. And what I would like to do is, that just like you said, this is perfect. If you guys revise this and we can actually come up with a safe way for people to barbecue with gas or charcoal, I'm all in. So, thanks.
Yeah.
Natalie, I'm just curious, do you know anything about Ridgeville employees calling the police on people barbecuing?
We have records of that.
Unless it's happened previous to me working here, I mean, we've never called the police. A lot of times the barbecuing happens on the weekends and we're not here anyway. So
And
when
the
people
neighbor
call,
calls.
if people were to call the office here to ask about that, we wouldn't answer the phone. So then the next step would be for them to call the police. But, I mean, I've certainly never called the police. To my knowledge, Brian has never called the police.
Okay, but it sounds like maybe Anna Christina had when she was here.
I don't know.
Okay.
But there would be records that the police was called.
Yeah,
I would assume.
And I bet if we go through it, it hasn't happened.
whatever, but I'm glad that we're revising it and I'm happy with it, so thank you.
Well, we didn't vote on it. Do we need to?
Well, there's nothing to repeal, so there's.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
move the table this discussion until the next meeting.
Ditto.
when Brian's here and.
I'm anxious to hear from the city too from the fire department, to hear about the safety issues, because that's the only thing I'm personally concerned about, is that if we're changing anything, if we're adding anything, we're making sure that we're in accordance with all current fire safety laws, ordinances, regulations, suggestions, etc. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an email here from iParks. I guess maybe that's stuff he can speak to next meeting, but, yeah.
Yeah, so table it.
Yeah.
And we already moved up item E.
I would like to ask a question.
Yeah.
Ridgeville United, seems to me they've been using the Ridgeville picture of Ridgeville in their media, you know, letting people know that there was a Ridgeville United meeting. I just feel like we need to make it very clear, for a lot of reasons, that we are not connected with Ridgeville United. And I'm not sure, Charlie, can they use a Ridgeville, you know, trademark sign in their?
So, under trademark law, Ridgeville likely has common law rights in its emblem. They certainly would have it in the Ridgeville Park District. If Ridgeville United is using those images in such a way to cause confusion, or that may cause confusion in the public, then you would have the ability to ask them to stop doing so, or to require them to get a license from you. A license could be something that you give them, you require them to pay you for, or you give them for free, or just make them specify that they're not connected with the Ridgeville Park District. If they are doing something that would create some confusion in the minds of the public as to whether or not they are part of or connected to or somehow an agency of the Ridgeville Park District, it could cause you trouble somewhere down the road. If they have a creditor who thinks you're responsible for it, or something they do is people don't like and they attribute to the Ridgeville Park District. So
I've
those
had
are
2
issues.
phone calls asking me if Ridgeville United is a part of Ridgeville.
So certainly they have the right to use the name Ridgeville. I mean,
Yes.
you don't have the
Absolutely.
rights to that. But if they're using your emblems in such a way that may cause confusion amongst the public as to their connection to the Ridgeville Park District,
Right.
Then that can be an issue for you.
So I'd like to suggest that we write a letter or whatever. While I think Ridgeville United is a very valid, good thing, I don't think it's a good thing to confuse people that we're connected in any way. And I don't know, what do people think about having them put on their stuff, not connected, well, however you word it.
Let me make a suggestion before you.
Wait, I'm asking Charlie, yes.
you may want to start less formally than a letter.
Okay,
You may want to just be a little bit more informal about this, to say, hey, Mr. Ridgeville Union, you know, we have nothing against you, we're a little concerned that the Park District emblem appears on your pamphlets or webpage or stationery or something, and that might confuse some people as to whether you're connected to us or not.
right, and maybe they just would stop using that.
And it's also, it's less confrontational. It seems to me that there's some synergy that I heard tonight where it appears that people are trying to work together. It just seems to me that that would be a better way to go.
Well, Dan, you're connected, maybe you could just.
Oh, I'm the exact opposite coin of you, Commissioner Braun. I think doing any kind of communication to discourage them from using Ridgeville, whether it's a tree or whatever, is the wrong message. This is a new partner that has a positive, serious synergy here, and I would like to enhance that and encourage them to continue to use the tree or whatever they're using. I don't think anyone's confused that, actually people are confused, they don't know who we are. But to have a group of community members of this size and with these same goals that we have, wanting to partner with us, I don't think our message should be stop using this. I think we should say continue to use it. How can we partner? How can we clarify with the community that there is a difference between Ridgeville proper and Ridgeville United? But for heaven's sakes, let's work together. This is great. So I'm on the opposite side of you. I don't want to discourage them from taking this cool step of cooperating with us.
I'm not discouraging that in any way, Commissioner Klein. I think it's great. I really respect people for coming here and voicing opinions and giving suggestions. My concern is, and I've got 2 phone calls, that Ridgeville United is now part of Ridgeville, and it isn't. And while there are lots of suggestions and everything, there's still things in Ridgeville United's demands whatever, you know, what was written on William's thing, that we don't all agree with the way it's being done. So, and it's not a tree, it's the Ridgeville trademark emblem. And that's my concern.
Okay.
And we can do whatever we want with it, that's my concern.
Okay, I'd like to ask Matt if you have anything additional. This was your agenda item, and I know you had some conversations with William and possibly Beth as well, who represent, you know, Ridgeville United. So I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on just establishing a clear disconnect between the 2 entities and the you know, suggested problems that might arise from confusion between the 2?
I think it's a valid concern that people might misassociate the 2 organizations. I don't think we have you can choose what they choose to call themselves, but I think it's a valid concern to not have our signage. And I agree with Mr. Valenti that an informal.
Could you say something?
Maybe you could just say something more.
Likely, they never considered
Yeah.
Right,
it would be
right.
confusion, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
and you know, if we're taking, because we called earlier, we're not here, but
Yeah,
yes,
just
I'll have an informal conversation
Great,
voicing our concerns
thank you.
about that issue.
If they would do it, they might just stand up and say, "We'll take care of it."
Sure.
If
Right.
it's useful, like the Ridgeville Foundation, for example, has a logo that they created that says Ridgeville, and then it has foundation. It has some like leaves on it, so it's reflective of us, but it's clearly a separate. It's a separate logo. So I don't know. I know they're you know, a subset of the Evanston United. So I don't know if they're going to have a logo, but maybe that would be a cool opportunity for them to develop that, especially if they're going to have a website presence too.
And I would like to clarify too, for me, I want Evanston United, I want Ridgeville United, I want everyone in our community to be a part of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be clear that in my message, I think it's great they're here, and this is an issue that I think is a non-issue, but I'm cool with it. But I'm glad that Matt's going to make the communication with it. Thanks.
And just to be clear, you know, as we visited the Facebook page earlier, it is a picture of the Ridgeville Park sign. That's the background, the cover photo, I think it's called, on their page. There's also pictures of like people in the parks. And to me, there is a distinction between using our sign as the main cover photo versus people in our parks, no problem. You know what I mean?
I understand the distinction, and it can be an ongoing conversation, it doesn't seem like a.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll move then to the call of the commissioners. Let's just start with Commissioner Coyne.
We have coming up here the Bike the Ridge, which is really cool. And I would encourage us to invite the Ridgeville United to have a table and join us with the right emblem. But just to join us as one of the folks there in the park, if that's all right, Natalie.
Yeah.
That's it, Commissioner Coyne? Okay. I don't have anything to add at the moment. Commissioner Braun?
No.
No? Commissioner McCourt? Commissioner Mitchell?
I'd like to start an ecology club here at Ridgeville. I work with Natalie on it. I envision it as an adult club, but perhaps young folks could be involved too. I don't see it as a subset committee, or anything that the board would do. But at our last meeting, we talked about planting flowers, and we put some money in our budget to do that, and asking for community involvement. I thought maybe that could be a part of it. The city has a climate action resiliency plan. It's some great work that they're doing. If we could get involved with them. Mr. Kumar Jensen does great work over there. What else?
Ecology club?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said college club.
College club. I'm all for college too, but I don't have so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
One other idea I had is the National Wildlife Federation has a kind of accreditation for parks that accredits pollinator and wildlife habitat, and all these things I think would be free.
And get kids involved in it.
Yeah, and the things we could do without using budget money, and it would be outside of the board. But it's just a conversation I have with some community members. I'll work on it and let you know. Probably next meeting. Or at the next meeting, I mean.
It might even be.
Email me. We have our gardening opportunities coming up in October.
Yeah, I want to get to gardening.
Yeah, we're doing a whole rain garden situation. It's gonna be
Off the tree, yeah.
That's it for me.
Okay. So we have another section for citizen comments. If anyone would like to speak.
I'm J.C. Herman. I live in the district. I'm the arts director. My kids under programming. I started coming to board meetings last spring because I was hearing a lot of misinformation going out to the community. And the misinformation that was going out to the community was dividing not only our community, but it was making people aware of Ridgeville for the first time and being most negative of lights. And so I started coming here because I wanted to show that a lot of that misinformation was not correct. I'm really disturbed to hear more misinformation going out. I'm requesting of the commissioners, if you could please get your facts right before you put information out to the community. If you could please make sure that when you come to meetings, you have your I's dotted and T's crossed. It's not just your time, it's our time too. I'm really requesting that when you are putting information out, you have your data before you do that. That is really important to us building this. We all want to go in the same direction. That misinformation is not helping. Please make sure you have your facts right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak during citizen comment? Okay. I will move that we adjourn. Okay.
And,
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Sigma.
So now that the meeting's over,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
have
just want to
another
throw stuff
copy
away,
of
that's
the
fine, but we'll clean this
statute
space fine.
that I mentioned before.
My stuff
I
out.
only have one. If anyone wants to see it, it's here. If somebody wants to take it home with them, that's fine with me. If somebody wants to make copies.